Welcome to Along for the Ride with the Mad Dog and Cole. I'm no rocketeer, Farrell.
Only sore losers come up with new track rules.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Man, thank you, Mr. Evil Knievel, for those inspiring words. We should all aspire to do what we love and spend some time just living in the sunlight.
And speaking of living in the sunlight, have to thank our first responders and all of our troops of this beautiful nation that let us go have fun in the sunlight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Much respect. God bless America. Speaking of being blessed, we are so blessed to have such great partners at Along for the Ride. They've stuck with us all the way up to episode 30 today.
Episode 30.
Yeah. So shout out Kicker Performance Audio. Find them at kicker.com or at Kicker Audio on Instagram. Hit them up for any of your 12 volt or personal audio needs, car, truck, boat, motorcycle, off-road, on-road, whatever you need. Check them out, kicker.com. And of course, Bomber Eyewear at bombereyewear.com. Man, Tommy and the gang have these sunglasses, safety glasses, all kinds of glasses, man. Everything you need, check them out. Bombereyewear.com. The ones I wear all the time are a limited edition Mana Series Boogie Bomb, dark smoke, polarized lens, and their OSHA approved safety lens on top of it. And 10 times 10 100s with double thumbs up. They float, which is really handy for someone who lives on a lake. Hey, episode 30, we got something special. We got first time event promoter for the side-by-side record reset event, Dome Valley Raceway in Yuma last weekend, where they kicked some ass and set some records, brought some world records home to the U.S. We have Marcus Pomeroy. Marcus, thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to have you. This is a kind of a whole new format event for side by sides and for side by side drag racing. So, man, I know our man Cole was on the mic all weekend for you. I know our great partner Kicker Audio provided the PA for you. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Loving that background, dude. That looks sick.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, how do you get inspired? I know just a little background. I've known Marcus for I don't know what's it been, probably 3 or 4 years now, I guess. And
Yep.
we made a trip to Doomfest together. I traveled with him in his truck and the Cuskinator on one of the Cuskinator's whirlwind trips. And maybe someday I'll get into that, but we won't right now. But we had a great time. Got to know Marcus a little bit. I know he's nuts about going fast in the sand. Marcus, man, I know you've done a lot of fast cars and stuff. How was it to bring all this together?
You know, it was good. It was actually great. It was great to be able to get all the shops to come together in a format that isn't, while they were competing for records, they weren't necessarily competing against each other. They were competing against the clock. And it really showed. Guys came together, teams helped other teams, shared parts, shared ideas, shared trips, tricks about the track and how to get the cars to go straight and fast. I was really impressed with the way everybody came together.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw a couple of the social media clips, and I saw the K&T kid, Jaden,
Jaden, yeah.
do all but do a backflip.
And that car was out of commission for about 12 hours and came right back on the track because so that was K&T's car. Jaden Muchmore was driving it.
Yep.
D&M Racing out of Phoenix sent a guy back to the shop to pick up a full roller chassis, brought it down to the track so they could pirate whatever parts they needed off of the D&M car to go onto the K&T car so that they could compete for the same record.
Wow.
What sportsmanship.
Oh, it was amazing. It was so good to see that. It's well, that's the highlight for me. That kind of stuff right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, it's I think it's rare you see that. In my opinion, it's rare you see that in sand drag racing.
It's, the typical format where it's a heads up racing, a double elimination. It's an accelerated format. We're usually done with a complete event when we do those. We have an early day where we do test and tune on Friday, and then Saturday we usually start racing, and we're done in 4 to 5 hours. The whole event is over and done, and we're through eliminations. And this was 3 full days of racing. We started midday on Friday and didn't get done until late afternoon on Sunday. And Saturday went well into the night. We were just past 1 a.m. before we shut the track down on Saturday night. So because of that, people didn't feel that pressure, and they were able to share a little bit and help.
Nice. That is a late night. That's I don't know that I'd be game for that. Kudos to
That's
you
when
guys.
the air gets good and the cars get fast and the weather came down and the humidity came up and the cars just kept getting faster and faster the later we ran. And the neat thing about Dome Valley is the promoters, the people that own it, they love going fast as much as anybody else does. You didn't have to twist their arm really hard. We were supposed to be done at 11 o'clock. And with just a little bit of asking, they were game to stay open till 1, and we probably would have kept going, but everybody was getting pretty wore down by that time. And we were planning on starting the next day at 11 again. So we didn't have a whole lot of hours of sleep from shutdown to restart. And they needed to prep the track and get everything ready to go for the next day.
Yeah, it did look like, and both you guys were there, so you can kind of fill me in on this, but it did look like the track was hooking pretty good, at least some of the runs that I saw.
It was amazing, and it took all the cars, even stock turbo cars, our lowest class, pulling solid wheelies, carrying them down track. We had, unfortunately, the 2 cars that hooked well enough that they went over backwards. Jeremy Herron with his YXZ wheelied hard enough that it turned into a jump. He had all 4 tires off the ground, came down on the back bumper. The car did a pirouette and laid over on its side, and unfortunately did a lot of damage to the front end. And he was not able to compete after that, but he was fine. He didn't get hurt, wore all of his safety gear, Hans device, helmets, belts, everything that we need to make sure we can live through something like that. Both drivers walked away unscathed, just the cars and damage, and we know we can fix those. So while it was scary at the time, it was a good thing. I'm glad that both guys walked away, no problems. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, and their safety gear is critical. It's no joke. I mean, these guys are doing right up on 100 miles an hour in 300 feet. People, if you're listening and you've never heard of sand drags, 300 feet, that's 100 yards. That's, to put it in perspective, that's about the last warning before a turn that Google Maps gives you.
Yep.
And they're going 0 to 100.
Yeah. We had, I think, right at 96 miles an hour was our top pass, and we had several cars that were north of 90, and everybody was in the 70 and 80 range minimum in that 300 foot.
Yeah, and it was rad to see Cole back on the mic. I didn't get to see any of it, of course, but Cole, how was that? I mean, you got to call some world records, which we're going to get into in a minute, but I know Cole was boots on the ground, folks. So I'm kind of going to hand this whole midsection off to Cole and interject where I can.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible event. Just for me to be back on the mic was exciting because we'll sit here and gab all day, every day, but until it's in front of people setting records at the beautiful Dome Valley Raceway, you can't beat that. So, Marcus, question for you. Obviously, I've seen you at a lot of the hill drags. I've seen you at many different events. What was the catalyst to bring this to Dome Valley Raceway? Had you personally run at that track before? Had you known that that was such a fast track? I mean, how did this all start?
So all of the above. I've run at the track. I've been to many events at that track. And the original record that was set back in 2016 was at that track. So, and I was at that event. So we were there, and that record got set at about 1 a.m. Just so that's when that's the magic hour for that track, apparently. But it is fairly world known that it is one of the faster tracks available. Just the location, the air density, the weather there is ideal for laying down fast passes. And the operators of that track, he is magic on a tractor. You know, you can tell him you want the track to work one way or another way, and he's got 3 or 4 different implements that he'll take out there, and the track will look total. He can smooth it like it's a freeway, and not a California freeway, but like a real good freeway. Or he can cut grooves in it and fluff it up a little bit. He's got so many different things that he does, and it depends if he runs one direction or the other direction. The track will act completely different. So he watches how the cars are acting, and he will prep the track to help those cars. So just the entire package just kind of plays into the way you want it to work.
Yeah, that's rad. And
Nice.
from my perspective, I feel like you couldn't have picked a better date on the calendar to run it as far as weather and everything went. How do you feel about that as far as the air density and how cool the track was and how it held moisture?
So the day that I got there, which was Wednesday, there was a hailstorm and a torrential downpour. There was 2 inches of standing water through the entire camp area. We were nervous that if that kept going, we were going to be rained out. The rain stopped at, I don't know, about 10:30 that night. I went to sleep kind of worried that I was going to wake up the next day, not know what I was going to find, but it was already starting to dry out. So by the time people started rolling in late Thursday and Friday, most of the ground had dried up, had a few little puddles left, but the track itself sucked that water in. And when he put the equipment on it, he kind of just rolled it over, brought the moisture back to the top, stirred it with what had dried, and it was you could watch the dirt get dark as he brought that water back up out of the track. And he's like, man, he told me before the event, he goes, this is going to be fast. It is. And then we were in the 70s with cloud cover most of the time. Absolutely the best conditions we could have asked for.
I mean, as a motocross guy, the dirt looks so good. And Lauren, I'm not kidding you. I'm sitting here looking in the scoring tower and I'm like, that's literally what we would call hero dirt, where you could just lay the bike as sideways as you wanted to and it would hold it, I don't know. It's just an impressive facility. I had never been there before. But man, how many records did you end up setting this weekend?
So there were 14 available records and we set 12 out of the 14.
Wow.
The 2 that we did not set were the mile-an-hour record in what they call the A and the double A UTV. So that current record is 94.4 miles an hour. Now we hit 95.8, but the way the record works is you have to back it up within 1%.
Right.
And we did not get the 1% backup. So we technically went faster than the record, but did not have the backup for the record. So those were the only 2 that did not get redone.
And just for dummies like me, what's a side-by-side A or A UTV and a double A UTV?
So the classes run, double A is the top class, and then they run backwards from there. So double A UTV is you're allowed to have motor swaps, unlimited CC, unlimited turbo size, and you're allowed to run a wheelie bar. AUTV is 1200 cc's, unlimited turbo size. You're allowed to have motor swaps, no wheelie bar, no nitromethane. And in double A, you're allowed to run any fuel. And then in BUTV would be still unlimited turbo, but it must be a factory motor to the chassis. no wheelie bar, and no nitromethane.
Gotcha.
Then there's a wheelbase rule and a few other things that get mixed in there with each of those, but
Sure.
that's the main gist of it. So when we're talking about those sizes, it's really about motor size, turbo size, and fuel that's allowed.
Now, are those internationally recognized classes, or is that something that you were able to come up with for this event and something to move forward with?
So those were all set by the WSDN, the World Sand Drag News. They are one of the two sand drag organizations that keep records, and that is recognized international. The AA record that we did reset was held in Dubai before this event, and it was held with that WSDN. There is another organization that also does sand drag records, but they're very exclusive. You have to set it at their event, at their track. It's not as broad or widespread as the WSDN. So the WSDN caters to all over the world, though.
Sounds more fun if you're asking me, more driver friendly as well.
Absolutely. It gives us more opportunity. We can do events at different tracks. You know, the guys up in Michigan, they set some records not too long ago. And it opens the playing field, gives us better choice. You know, we can go to any track we want. We can set these records as long as we follow their basic rules.
Right. So, question, just to jump in on you there, Cole. How long will it be till the guys in UAE have another event and try and chop your records?
Well, to be honest, right before our event, the guys in UAE put up a post on their Instagram account that they're out of the sport and they're selling everything because we all cheat here in the United States. So I don't know if they're going to go back after it or not. Their structure is a little different than ours, but it's a region specific. The way that they run is they only get 2 passes and that's it. Which I'll be honest, it's a lot harder to set a record. If you have one mistake, you're done. You can't come back
Right.
and fix that mistake. But that is something that they implemented into their rules. So but they never do heads up racing. All they ever do is basically record setting, but they limit the number of runs that you can have.
Man,
Interesting.
how interesting. It's, you would think that rising tides would raise all ships, but I know how racers can get and builders can get, and we all do. So let's hope not that's not the case, but I don't know. It feels great to have that record back in the States, huh?
Definitely good. And I suspect that when the emotions relax a little bit and they kind of sit back, I hope they come back. I hope that the guys in the UAE keep pushing. I'd honestly love if they came across the pond and did some races with us. I think it would be great for the sport. It's great for the community. There's no downside to having those guys out there running. And they're fast. I mean, they're super fast over there. Their cars are built a little different, but it's amazing the times that they're running. And to be able to do it in 2 passes is even more impressive. So I would love them to come over and play with our format. And I know some of our guys would like to go over there and play in some of their events. So, trying to do something internationally here where we can, bridge that divide, I think it would be great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know that's it's funny because in the way you're talking there about going back and forth, I have some friends that are in the Street Outlaws group, and they were just in Australia. I think they're still there actually, but that was kind of the whole thing was the Aussies were like, "Hey, we're faster than you," and so they went down there to like show up.
Yeah, I've been tracking that a little bit on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be really curious to see the results come out of that and who really is faster and how that plays out. But I think that whole the camaraderie, the USA guys against the whoever guys and how that works out, it does nothing but good things for the sport. It makes everybody grow, it makes everybody faster, and I think overall there's no downside to doing that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And while you mentioned Facebook, I noticed that you had a live video feed all weekend. And even my dad, who only knew that I was there and knew nothing about the sport, was able to find this live feed. So how were those numbers for you? Did you get good feedback on that stuff?
I got very good feedback, and mostly it was people laughing at how I did it. So I had ordered a camera that was supposed to be there that was, super great and was going to be easy to set up and would work wonderful. Well, that camera did not make it. So what we wound up doing is taking a little metal camp folding chair or table, ratchet strapping it about 20 feet up in a tree, set my tablet on top of the table and let it live stream off, and ran an extension cord up the tree so that the tablet wouldn't die. And every, half hour to 45 minutes, a mud clod would hit the tablet and knock it over. And I'd have to climb back up the tree, reset the camera, get everything going again. But overall, I got probably 90% of it got out on the air, and we did get a lot of feedback from the live stream. A lot of people really enjoyed it. I got people sending me pictures that they were casting it up on their big screen TVs in their living room and, sitting back and watching us race, which that's great. There again, more eyes. You cannot lose if you get more people involved.
I agree completely.
Now, speaking of getting more people involved, the highlight for me for the weekend, as far as competition went, had to be the Gambler class bracket racing.
Yes.
I think that was a genius move on your part, Marcus. That broke up the weekend and got everyone involved.
Thank you. And we had a stock general that ran. We had a bunch of the stock turbo guys, and a couple of fast guys came out and played. And the guy that won it all, it was a $50 buy-in, winner take all. He ended up with $550 for coming out to play. And he's ecstatic. He's been posting all over Facebook. It's just he had such a good time doing it, and everybody did. Everybody had great feedback on that one, and it was a good way to break up the afternoon and kind of let everybody relax a little bit and enjoy sit back and enjoy, and let the fast cars kind of take a rest for a minute.
Yeah, and I wish I remember the gentleman's name, but I came down out of the scoring tower and I gave him a thumbs up, and he flipped his visor up and said, "What, did I win?" I'm like, yeah, dude, you just won the whole bracket thing.
That was, the Arizona Dyno. That's his name was down the side of the car. And, it was funny. One of the guys who raced, it was a really fast Can-Am 4-seater turbo that raced the stock Polaris General. And the General he won to the end of the track, but he broke out. He actually went too fast. So the Can-Am thought he was done. He went and parked. I had to send somebody to go get him and let him know that, no, man, you actually won because you ran your number, and the General was just too fast for the day. So he was out.
And Lauren, guess who was in that General? That high-speed General was the world-famous Jake Jane. The only man who could break out in a Polaris General, Jake Jane. And
he did too. Yes, it was amazing. Jake had a great time with that. He's still laughing about it.
Now, I know Jake pretty doggone good, and I'm questioning the fact that both of you said it was a bone stock General.
Well, it's actually my General. So I can guarantee, as we sit here, it's actually sitting in the trailer in my backyard right now. So that one was a bone stock, nothing done to it General. Wow. We unloaded the T-post and the fence post driver out of the back of it so that he could race. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. No, he had a blast with it.
Yeah, I just can't recommend enough. If you watch the live stream this weekend or plan to come out to the next one, bring your safety equipment and please join that bracket racing, because that was just too much fun. Now, what were you going to say, Lauren, before I cut you off?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that Jake's pretty handy with a set of pedals and a steering wheel. So.
Oh, absolutely. He's a great driver. I've known him for a few years now, and we've doomed together and done the races together. And, we help each other a bunch with things. So I pick his brain all the time and get his input on parts and what I need. So he's a great guy.
Yeah. Nice. Shout out Jake Jane.
Which he just had a birthday yesterday. What is today? Today is Wednesday. Yeah, yesterday was his 39th birthday. Yeah, so happy birthday, Jake.
We should sing happy birthday to him.
Oh, we did on the track.
Oh, good.
We did. Yeah. So we got him out in the middle of the track, and my 9-year-old daughter sang him happy birthday over the kicker PA system. And we had probably 1,000 people singing along all up and down both sides of the track. All the spectators, the guys came out of their pits and stood up and down the side of the track and sang happy birthday to him.
And he loves attention, so that worked out great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But speaking of 1,000 people, Lauren, I wish you were there, especially looking out from the scoring tower, because the locals came out in huge support for the record reset. There was bonfires and barbecues and coolers all the way down the runoff section. I mean, it was so impressive.
Nice. Yeah, it's I was where was I? I was in Amarillo last weekend, so there was no record reset there for me, but hopefully I'll be able to make it out to one of these up and coming. I'm assuming you're going to try and put some more on.
Yeah, with the success of this one, I'm looking at some dates and some ideas and putting together a plan to extend this series out. I'm really looking at doing maybe an East Coast, West Coast kind of a thing. There's a few tracks Midwest and East that are apparently as fast or close to as fast as Dome. I'd love to go out there and put one on, bring the East Coast guys out, and then drag them all here to Dome for kind of a season finale once a year about this time. So I think that would just be a great way to, again, bring everybody together and have something that is really memorable.
Oh yeah, for sure. And anytime you can, get like East Coast versus West Coast or, something like that. Whatever, Arizona versus Utah, whatever the case may be. Anytime you can get something like that, I think you're just, again, just helping build the sport.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, Cole, how good was it to be back on the mic?
It was great, but it was even better because we had kicker performance audio. So Marcus is no dummy when finding the correct personal audio partner.
No, and love the kicker system. So glad that they were, came out to support us and let us use that system. And Cole did a fantastic job. Everybody compliments all around when it came to the calling of the races and shouting out of the times and making sure people were informed. The clarity of the sound was amazing. You could hear it all the way down the track on both sides. Even the spectators far down, well past the 300-foot line said that they could hear what was going on. Can't say enough good things about all of it. Actually, both Cole, both you and the kicker system. It's exactly what we needed.
Well, thank you for having me out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was when Cole told me, I was pretty excited because, I'm going to take responsibility for launching his announcer / MC career. So,
fair enough. Trial by fire. So it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It was a strange situation where the announcer we had kind of bounced for personal reasons, and I just handed Cole the mic and a Coors Light and said, "You got work to do."
Well, he definitely put in work this last weekend.
Thank you. Now I'm going to hit you with a curveball question, Marcus. So,
oh boy.
Okay.
I won't ask you how am I going to word this? Is there anything this weekend that surprised you on the promoter side of things? I wouldn't say change, anything that surprised you.
I really, because it was the first event of this particular series, and what I was trying to do was so different than what most of the other promotions do, I had no idea the outcome. I didn't know. Nights before the event, I had a recurring nightmare that it was me and one car that I had never met, and that was it. And it was just one guy doing hot laps all day long down the track. But we ended up with 58 cars, which is a great turnout for this sort of an event.
Wow.
It was in the almost 40 cars actually entered to try to set records, and all of them were very, very competitive. And the rest came out because we did like an open track day. So they came out just to enjoy the track. Things ran smooth, which is surprising because the other events that I've been part of, not always quite that smooth. No, I'm not, and to kind of circle back to not much I would change, honestly. It turned out great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seemed like the racers came out to race, and like you said, there was so much camaraderie there. It just made a good environment for everybody. Plus having a world-class facility, how could you go wrong, right?
100%. It was a recipe for success, and it all came through.
Yeah, and let's highlight that a little bit because I only barely made mention of it on your intro, but this is your first event you have promoted, correct? This is like your new beginning, if you will.
Correct. Yeah, I've been involved with other promotions in the past, and I've been pretty heavily involved with some of those promotions. But this is the first time I've kind of struck out on my own and put it all together. Brought in, like Jake to help me out, and Jeff Olson's another really good friend of mine. He came out. My wife was a huge supporter. She helped me run the registration booth and sell merch and all that stuff. But really and truly, we did it on a fairly small skeleton crew, but the track itself, because they handled their own so well that we could just do what we needed to do and handle just the back end of the promotion side. And it all just worked together as best that I could. I couldn't have expected more, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it really, and that's always nice when the track crew when they're standalone where they can, I'm sure you had the availability to go, hey, can you guys fix this or can you guys do this? But in the same right, you didn't have to get out there and run the equipment yourself.
And to be honest, I didn't even have to ask that often. They were actually grading before I thought it was time to go. They're hold on, and they'd send the tractor up and back, and they'd see something with their track that they didn't like. If the car acted funny, or if there was a soft spot that you could see the car hit and it would move around a little bit, they were very cognizant of safety and making sure that the cars were going straight and making sure they were going fast. So they would absolutely, very rarely did I have to ask for anything. They just did, and they did well and they did right, and I can't say enough about them.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I think that's a perfect place to kind of wrap this up. I know that your phone's been blowing up in the best of ways, Marcus. So I
Oh,
appreciate you coming on, and yeah, let's get some plugs. Thank your partners from this weekend, and where can we find the action?
so and the sponsor response and the guys that came out to help me get this going again for a first attempt is it's humbling and it's staggering. I can't say enough about how great it was that all of these people would trust me to put something on and come behind me in such a big way. Ignite Racing Fuels, they stepped up huge, helped me secure the facility, helped me lock everything down. Evolution Power Sports, they came out, that super cool arch that we had at the starting line, they provided that. Brian Crower Industries, Sand Sports Super Show, they came out. Bonnier, they had their guy out there all weekend. I actually did a small interview with them, answered a bunch of questions, and they put it into onto their website. Hostile Off Road Wheels, he came out in a big way, was there the entire event, talking to people, answering questions, was super excited. D&M Racing, they're again huge sponsor, and they're the ones that set the B, the A, and the double A record. They're the ones that brought that record back home to the U.S. Their car, for being something that was built, they finished building that car a week and a half before the event. It had two
Wow.
hits on the dyno to get it close. They brought it to the track to finish putting the car together and start the tuning process. And by the end of the weekend, where it was just blistering fast pass after blistering fast pass out of that car, and it just performed and drove back on the trailer when it was all said and done. There, I talked to Doug earlier today, and he's just ecstatic with the way that all went down for him. John Reed Racing was involved. ARP Bolts came out for us. Shock Therapy brought me a couple of helicopters that I got most of the sponsors to go up and get rides. The owners of the track got them up in the air. They got to see their track from the air for the first time. They were super, super excited about that. Shock Therapy was great. Obviously, Kicker Performance Audio, they supplied us with the system that we needed to make sure everybody knew what action was happening and when, kept everything straight, worked out well. S&S Fab, Phoenix Speed Industries, both of those guys, competitors, very fast passes out of both of them. They both stepped up. Sand Tires Unlimited, they came out. And I'll tell you, Sand Tires Unlimited right now, their tires hold 14 out of 14 records. So
Wow.
that is hands down the fastest sand tire in the sand. and you just can't beat it. Nobody even tries to run anything different because they know that that is the tire. They've got the selection that you need to for all classes, everything from stock to the double A. All those records, Sand Tires Unlimited. MP Racing out of Michigan, he came out, he was competing. He helped me out a lot. Um, Glamis Dunes Rentals, they brought me a couple of trailers, which allowed me to keep the 1320 video guys on site. 1320 video. And I know, with you being into the Sand Outlaw or the Street Outlaws guys, I'm sure Kyle and the boys over at 1320. They came out, they were super into it. They had no idea what these cars could do. They got a lot of video. They said that they're going to do a show that they're calling the Experience based on this race, and that they might have a couple of features coming out of it. So I expect a bunch coming out of 1320 here, very, very soon. And of course,
Cool.
Dome Valley Raceway for putting it on for us, for doing everything that they've done. Without each and every single one of those, I had right at $37,000 in prize money to pay out for this event. And it was all of those sponsors that made that possible. I was able to collect and put on the event, secure the facility, and still pay out about $37,000 for these guys.
Wow, fantastic. Hey, I wanted to ask something on the double A record. Did they back it up moving forward, or did they back it up on the downside, if you know what I mean?
The fastest pass, that ended up backing up a slightly slower pass because it was outside of the 1% range.
Nice.
So the new record is a 3.40, but they ran a 3.36 at the track. But it was right towards the end of the day, and the sun was coming out, and it was on Sunday. Sunday morning, they laid that pass, and it was super fast. The track started to go away a little bit. The air started to get a little bit warmer. And because they had already secured the record, they didn't want to go out and press the car. They certainly didn't want to put their driver in a position where he might get hurt. So with the record secured, they drove it back in the trailer and called it good, with the knowledge that at the next one, they're going to press that record down even lower.
Nice. Yeah, and what a great group of sponsors and partners you had. A lot of familiar names there in the industry for sure.
I was, again, and I say it, and I can't mean it anymore. I was humbled by the support out of those big names in the industry, titans that have been running for high performance in all aspects. I mean, Brian Crowder, that guy, he builds fast parts for just about everything that runs on fuel. And he stepped up in a big way. And ARP Bolts, I mean, that's a huge company. These guys really came out and had a belief in what I was doing, and I hadn't proven myself yet. So I'm glad that they had that faith in me. And, from the response I'm getting at everybody, I think that they're impressed with what we did. And I expect all of them to come back for the next one, and, even bigger, even better, and, trying to put some big things together for the future.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know you must be pretty burnt out from an awesome weekend. So thank you for sharing your time with us. And I'm sure you got plenty of work to do because you got another round coming up eventually. So just once again, thank you for having me out. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Oh, I appreciate your guys' time and having me on the show. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for being on the show, and man, keep it up. And do you have any is there any hint for the next one? Anything you want to drop? BC Vot last show dropped that the Mint 400 was going to have live bands out in Prim at the race, and nobody knew that yet. So you got anything for us, or are you holding that tight right now?
Well, I don't like to speak out of turn, and I have nothing that's confirmed yet. I am working on some things that if any of them come through, it'll be amazing for the sport, and it'll just be great all around. I think the next year or two of this is leaps and bounds. It's going to grow by leaps and bounds. And the conversations that I've had with people, the opportunities are pretty endless on this one.
Yeah, you're going to be not too long from now. I think you're going to be fighting with that that Speed UTV 5 LS7 on the AA class.
Well, you say not too long from now, but I'd say that's probably going to be a long time before that one ever, if ever, sees the light of day.
I get hit up about that all the time, and I just laugh. I'm like, you got to know Robbie.
Yeah, that guy, he's a master promoter, that's for sure.
Yeah,
He
for
can
sure.
he can stir up some controversy.
Yes. Marcus, thank you so much. Marcus Pomeroy, side by side record reset. Did I get it right?
You did 100%.
All right, Cole, do it in your announcer voice. Come on.
Side by Side Record Reset 2023. Check us out on Facebook. That's all I got right now.
Perfect. No, that's all we
That was-
need right now. That fantastic job.
That was awesome. Yeah, cool. Marcus, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you got to be busy as hell. Dude, we appreciate you. It's good to see you. Feels like it's been forever since I've seen you or talked to you.
I think Oregon 2 years ago is the last time I actually saw you face to face.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy though. You travel so much, it's hard to keep up with you. Even following you on Facebook is exhausting.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody today. I met somebody in the airport today that actually knows one of the guys that I know at Kicker, and I was like, yeah, I travel a fair amount. I've been home one weekend since January 1st. So
yeah, that's But
Kinda-
we're gonna have to work out that schedule so you can make it to the next event and come
Heck
hang
yeah.
out with us. And Disco Dave, I'm sure he misses you. He'd love to see you out there, and we'll get the whole band back together.
yeah, I was really grateful that he touched base with me about trying to get things going for the audio. I know we use that Kicker Performance Audio PA up in Oregon at Doomfest for their sand drags last summer. And I know it performed well for Brandon and the crew. So I was really hopeful that you guys would just maximize it and have as much fun as you could. And so, man, sounds like you slayed it. Welcome to doing it. Welcome to promoting events, brother.
Well, I hopefully I've kicked the door down, and I'm just going to walk on through and keep going. So it's definitely a different experience, but I really, really enjoyed it. I did.
That's awesome. Anybody else you need to thank before we sign off?
I do need to send that thanks out to Dave. Disco Dave Kuski, that guy, he is a staple in the industry. He knows everyone. If I ever say, "Hey Dave, hold on a second, let me make a phone call." And 10 minutes later, he's like, "Well, I got 5 of them lined up. Which one do you want?" And it was, talking to him about the audio. He's like, "Hold on, let me make a call." Called me back, no problem. We got, Kicker Performance Audio has come on board. They're happy to help. I'll go pick the stuff up for you. Without him, a lot of these pieces of the puzzle would not have fallen into place. And I'm super appreciative of everything that he does. And he's a good friend. And I know he's a good friend to a lot of people in this industry.
Yeah.
And him with the ASA doing God's work on that one.
Amen.
I know he's got a lot of things coming, and any support that we can give to the ASA, anybody who's listening, reach out to them, do what we can. Without them, we will absolutely lose riding area. They're going after Glamis, they're going after Oceana, they're going after Moab, and outfits like the ASA and their work is what's going to save those things. So absolutely do what you can, volunteer, give money, whatever you can do to support that ASA. That's the way to do it. And that will save our riding areas.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, Dave is a staple in the industry, a pain in the ass. However you want to say it. Love him to death. Good friend of the show. We got to get him on here at some point. Hey, you got on before he did.
Well, if you plan on having him on, you better plan a double episode, because that man has a lot to say.
Cole knows though. Cole knows when to just go. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm cracking up because Marcus said the exact same thing that Lauren and I have said 10 times on this show.
Yeah.
Is like, well, we would probably need a 4-parter. So
Yeah.
Yep,
Only
gonna
have
have
so
to
much
divide that
bandwidth
one out
per
a little
month.
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, Marcus Pomeroy, side by side record reset events Check them out on Facebook. Thank you for putting that on and bringing the records home to the U.S. We'll see how that goes with the foreign group now. Dude, great job. Good reports from everybody I heard from. So thankful to have you on, and I hope you have a good night tonight.
I will, and thank you guys, and same. Hopefully, you guys have a good evening, and I promise after the next one, I'll come back on and give you guys the updates, let you know what new records we've set, and if anything goes overseas, I'll make sure whatever we have to do to bring it home, we'll do that.
All of that sounds perfect.
Awesome. Marcus,
Perfect.
thank you so
guys.
much. You bet.
Thank you.
Man, so grateful we had Marcus on. He did a great job. I know he was a nervous wreck. It's his first podcast. You'd never guess it. He did a great job. He did a great job with getting the records and putting on an event, first time promoter. And I respect and appreciate the fact that he was prepared with his partner list and very concise and good on getting everybody listed out,
Well, yeah, and I think a big testament to that is just the fact of how grateful he is to have such good partners, and I'm sure that all those companies are grateful to partner with him too. So it's easy to rattle off when you're thankful, for sure.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of great partners, we want to thank our awesome partners, and we're going to start with the Premix Podcast.
Hi,
Our man Cole. Yeah, that's him. You find him out in the desert doing photography and little media out there. If you're out at one of the desert races, you can send him a message on Instagram at the Premix Podcast, all one word, ThePremixPodcast with an at in front of it. Man, send him a message. Tell him, hey, I got this car, or truck, or buggy, or side by side. Can you shoot some of me? Or I'm on a bike, or whatever. Living his passion through the lens now. So, dude, yeah, I'm really proud of you on that side. Check him out at the Premix Podcast. Of course, how can a dad not be proud of his daughter at Kelsey Morrell Film and Media? Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morrell Film. Working on she's got hours of raw footage that she's refining and getting ready for Instagram and getting up, for YouTube and getting up on our MAddOG Media channel on YouTube. Super grateful for her. Of course, Bomber Floating Eyewear at bombereyewear.com. Dude, you know me, these shades are stuck to my head, whether I'm wearing them over my eyes or it's pitch black out and I'm wrapping them around behind my head. White wraps matter. And these Bomber Eyewear glasses have been just beat to snot. And they just keep living. Man, and they float.
He's lots of Bomber eyewear out at the race this weekend, I tell you, and that's not a joke.
I bet there was.
I had eagle eye on everybody.
I bet there was. We got to get you in some here pretty quickly. But yeah, man, Tommy and the gang, Tommy wanted to build the Levi's of sunglasses where everybody could have, 8 pairs. And if you go to their website, you can find multiple frames, lenses, all kinds of options. That's at bombereyewear.com. Of course, Kicker Performance Audio. Don't know where I'd be without them. So grateful, so blessed to work with such a great group and literally work with them as well as help promote them. They've always been good to us. I know they just sent Cole a couple of new sets of earbuds and some other stuff, and man, they're always keeping me hooked up, and we just love them to death. Check them out, kicker.com, for all your car, boat, truck, motorcycle, off-road, side-by-side, or personal audio needs, get living loud at kicker.com. On top of that, the last statement is I want to give a personal shout out to Jake young Jake Young, one first in class while his bike chief was out working, which I'm sure working involved also remote bike chiefing. I know it because I know how you live that life, Cole.
Yeah.
And
yep. And I mean, I even had to drive literally by the exit, almost by the race start to get to my race. So congrats, Jake. You guys killed it. You're just a smart rider and you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And he's got wisdom beyond years of resource in his bike chief, Cole Farrell. And so, he's very, very fortunate to have you. And I know you undersell yourself, but I know you're a critical part of that team. Because I have messaged him on the side and talked about you. And the other thing was, thank you, Jake, for listening to the podcast. And don't forget, if you're going to go quick fill desert race, MAddOG'S style, don't forget to open the vent some also.
Oh, he did. The drill was out. Don't you worry.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And thanks for listening. I come up with a goodie once in a while. So, Cole, what do you got?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to sleep this weekend. Oh, no. Mint 400 this weekend. I'll be watching the live stream of that Friday and Saturday. So thank you, Martellis, for keeping that beautiful event going. And I told my dad yesterday, I said, damn it, one of us is going to go next year. And I'm hoping it's at least me. So never seen it in person, but I'll be watching the live stream this weekend.
Nice. Anything else you got? You good?
Oh, I'm good.
All right. Hey, I just, I forgot to mention I'm here in Tulsa, and I want to thank Hilton Honors for the upgrade to the Mini King Suite. And Budget came through with the yet another non-Kia compact rental. And I have of all the stupid ideas in the world, they gave me a brand new Ram 1500 quad cab pickup with some Eco Hemi or something.
Oh, the little motor with the snail.
Yeah, I think so. It runs hard.
All right. Runs like a Ram.
Yeah, it's got 400 miles on it, and it will do burnout. So
shout out to Budget Rent-A-Car.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I'm like, I don't need a truck. No, you must have.
I got some Ram jokes, but we'll keep it PG-13 on this podcast. How about that?
This one, I don't know. After we had BC on, I'm sure we reaffirmed that we were not PG-13. But hey, what the hell?
For the joy of Marcus's family, we'll keep her straight and narrow this round.
Yes, for sure. And Marcus, thank you for being here. Cole, thank you so much for all you do for this podcast and for being along for the ride with the crazy old Mad Dog. Man, we've sure had a lot of fun this far, and we're just going to follow the words of the great Jim Beaver and keep making content.
Absolutely.
If you don't like it, okay, we don't care. So we're just going to keep doing it because we're having a blast.
We are having a blast. Say hi to all of Oklahoma for me while you're there.
I will indeed. And I think with that, you got nothing?
I'm out.
Mad Dog out.